bonsoir everyone, welcome to Chacha Paranormal. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you. Tonight, after two previous episodes, we are concluding our journey through French UFO stories taken from this book by Jean Sider. For context, these are testimonies of alien encounters that date back to before the term flying saucer became popular after the year 1947. Ready for takeoff? Let's go. The first story starts off strong. It happened around the year 1925 on the road to Calais in the north of France. It's night time. A British woman driving alone loses control of her vehicle and crashes into a tree. Luckily, there are buildings nearby. A couple of shopkeepers, hearing the impact, rush to the scene and call for help. The victim is identified as Mrs. Smith. She's unconscious and has suffered multiple fractures. Her car is completely destroyed. She's taken to Amiens to the Dr. Pochet's clinic, where she receives medical attention. She needs a blood transfusion, so they quickly draw a sample to determine her blood type. And this is where things get mysterious. Her blood is strange. It isn't red. Her blood is blue. But that's not the strangest part. Tests reveal that her blood belongs to no known blood type. The medical team is stunned and runs a second test. Same result. Her blood type does not exist. Still unconscious, she's placed in a room for the night, under the care of an experienced night nurse. A nurse who is used to staying awake through the night, except this time. For the first time in her life, the night nurse falls into a deep sleep during her shift. An unusually heavy and unexplained sleep. She's extremely surprised to wake up the next morning, and that's not all. The blue-blooded woman she was supposed to be watching over is gone. The room is empty. The bed is made as if no one had slept in it. It's impossible. In her condition, the victim could not have left the room alone. And yet, she didn't just leave the room. She was nowhere to be found in the entire clinic. All the doors were still locked for the night, and the barred windows were closed. There was no way she could have physically left the building, and yet she had vanished. Around the same time, the tow truck sent to collect the destroyed car found nothing. The woman with the blue blood and her car had both dematerialized. Witnesses never understood what happened, and the various investigations, official and ufological, would continue for decades. The second story is very short and lacks details. It took place on a winter evening in the Jura region in 1926. That night, an Italian lumberjack named Filippi claimed to have seen, in his own words, a big glass ball with people inside, and said he couldn't communicate with them. I found this story kind of poetic. The next encounter took place around 1930 in Valence. The witness wished to remain anonymous. The house he grew up in didn't have modern amenities. The bathroom was outside, which meant going out at night if nature called. That's exactly what happened that night to the young boy who was 8 or 10 years old at the time. As he exited the outhouse, he saw a tiny being smaller than him, even though he was just a child. The tiny figure walked toward him. It wore a kind of grey uniform, but when the being noticed the boy, it immediately turned and ran, crossing the vegetable garden and vanished into the night. The boy was struck by how fast those small legs could run. He never dared tell his father about it, and for many years he was afraid to go out at night. He would check every evening that all the doors and windows were locked. Now we are heading to glamorous Cannes. In 1931, back then there was still a tramway in the city. On that late March, at exactly 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Mr. Blanc was driving the tram. Everything was normal until suddenly, about 300 meters ahead, he saw what looked like a curtain of rain. He assumed the tram would soon drive through a sudden shower. But this was no ordinary weather, because right in the middle of this veil in the atmosphere floated a silhouette above the ground, not something you see on your typical weather report. Mr. Blanc immediately thought he was witnessing an apparition of the Virgin Mary. The figure wore a veil, a kind of long white robe with a blue belt, and had both arms extended in front of her. But he will never get confirmation. After about 15 seconds, a strange lenticular grey cloud swallowed the floating figure, a suspicious cloud, because it rose quickly into the sky, leaving a trail behind. The tram's passengers, who didn't have the same viewing angle, only saw the strange cloud. According to a local newspaper, the same cloud was seen over the nearby city of Nice just half an hour later. Let's move to the French countryside. Somewhere in 1930s in La Creuse, the witness Jules B. was walking alone on a country road at night. But he wouldn't stay alone for long. He saw a small being emerge from a ditch and cross the road diagonally. The strange figure was about 1 meter and 30 centimeters tall. The weirdest part? He crossed the road quickly without moving his legs. His legs stayed stiff, pressed together, as if he slid across the ground, before vanishing on the other side of the road. It was only at the end of the encounter that Jules felt a wave of intense fear. Still on a country road, this time a bit further west, toward the late 1930s, Mr. and Mrs. Billon were driving near La Bazonnière when they saw something very strange. A glowing rectangular object with rounded corners seemed to be hovering just above the ground. In front of it were 2 humanoid figures, barely 1 meter tall. A mechanical issue, perhaps. Further north, in Prouvy, in 1942, a nice lady had a strange encounter when she stepped into her garden at 1 in the morning. Old timing to go outside, but why not? And maybe it was the exact timing to come face to face with 3 tiny humanoids with large round heads. These little guys had glowing eyes. Their dark suits shone in the moonlight. That was too much for the lady. She ran back in to wake her husband, but the mini aliens were already gone. Interestingly, a white glowing oval UFO was seen by witnesses in the same town 12 years later. The next story supposedly took place during the war. I say supposedly because some details are unclear. We don't know the exact location either. It would have happened in September of 1944 in a French forest. That afternoon, 3 American soldiers claimed they saw a disc-shaped UFO surrounded by 3 small beings wearing silver seamless suits. The beings were fragile-looking, with thin arms and legs, and huge heads and eyes. The soldiers reported the sighting to their superior, who immediately told them to say nothing to anyone, that they would be questioned later. That night, as they slept in their tent, they were suddenly awakened by 2 tall men in black suits and hats. Strange men with oddly greyish skin and very dark eyes. The soldiers were warmly invited to be threatened with death if they spoke to anyone about what they'd seen. The strangers even named their family members, promising they'd meet the same fate. Then they left in a large black car that no one else in the camp had noticed. Next stop, Burgundy. A summer afternoon in 1944. A stormy atmosphere looms over the countryside. It's hot, but the grey sky feels heavy. Madeleine is 13 years old. She drops her bicycle to pick wild berries at the edge of the forest. Suddenly, instinctively, she looks up. Definitely not ready for what she's about to see. A little further down the road, she spots a metallic, dome-shaped UFO, roughly the size of a car. Tiny figures wearing brown suits stand around the object. They notice Madeleine, but ignore her. She feels completely frozen, unable to move. The heavy, stormy air adds to her senses of dread. Then suddenly, she can move again. She grabs her bike and flees in fear. But when she looks back, the object and its occupants have completely vanished, as if they had dematerialized. Another story from Burgundy. 1 year later, in April 1945, a priest was out gathering mushrooms in the wild when he witnessed something beyond belief. Something came toward him through the tall grass. A man running out of breath. A man with a terrified face, as if fleeing from something, and looking at the priest with pure fear. He looked human, proportionate in every way, except for one detail. He was not taller than 17 centimeters. Let me repeat that, 17 centimeters. I'd probably be running through the woods too if I were that size. The priest later said this tiny man wore a deep red suit that covered his entire body, hands and feet included. Fashion Week tips, anyone?
Be my guest.
Interestingly, the little man had what looked like an antenna coming out at the top of his suit. He ran in a strangely stiff way, glared at the priest, and vanished forever. Weird things happen in Burgundy. You can run into a miniature man while walking through the forest, or sometimes even run into my parents, and that can be scary. One last encounter for the road. It happened in September 1946 in Cransac. Mr. Combet and his fiancée found themselves face to face with a red, glowing craft. Inside it, they saw two human-like figures completely hidden under some kind of diving suits. And that wraps up all the French stories from this fascinating book. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments which ones were your favorites. And I'll be back soon. Bye.